Hey everyone, it's me Vivian and I'm back with another video. So exactly 5 years ago, I started my first ever internship at one of Australia's largest banks. I remember how excited I was to have all that interview practice finally pay off and be able to start earning a salary in my first ever full-time job as a fresh-faced 20-year-old. At the time, I was young and naive and I knew nothing about the inner workings of a corporate job. Looking back, there are so many things that I would have done differently had I had this advice that I'm about to share today. So today's video is dedicated to my viewers who have wrapped up their uni or college degree and are about to step foot into their first full-time job or internship. But even if you're a bit further along in your career, feel free to continue watching and let me know down in the comments below if you agree with my tips or you have any of your own that you would be willing to share with this community. I'm going to share all the advice that I wish I had back then, that I think will only set you up for success. Before we get started, if you're enjoying my content, please give this video a thumbs up and also please consider subscribing as it really does help my channel grow. Let's get straight into it. So my first piece of advice is to ask questions whenever you are unclear of something, even if you think the questions are stupid. As the most junior or newest person on the team, it is expected that you don't know everything, and that's why your colleagues are there, to help you. This is definitely something that I wish I did more in my first ever internship. I remember countless times when my manager would be explaining a concept to me and I wasn't 100% sure, but I never really stopped to ask her any questions because I didn't want her to think that I was slow. This resulted in me spending hours after work researching the topic, which could have all been avoided if I didn't let my pride get the best of me. Remember that the beginning of your career or any new role is the only time you can get away with asking as many questions as you want without coming across as annoying or slow. As once you move into a more senior position, it is already expected that you know the basics. So take this opportunity to be curious and absorb as much information as you can. Another piece of advice which I personally think is crucial is to be consistent and reliable. If possible, be dependable and please commit to the timelines that you've agreed upon. Remember that every time you change roles or even within teams, you've got to re-establish your work ethic and build up that trust with your stakeholders. Given that working from home seems to be the new norm, it is also important that your manager knows that you are capable of getting your work done instead of thinking that you are bludging at home. And make sure to develop systems which work for you, whether that's via Trello boards or ticking things off on pen and paper, whatever works. Just make sure you are committing to those timelines and your work is of good quality. My next piece of advice, which kind of bounces off the previous one, is to under-promise and over-deliver. Now, I'm sure this is something that you've all heard of already, so let me just keep it pretty brief. So try to not have the mentality that, this is not my job, so therefore I don't have to be doing it. Go above your role if you think that it will help your personal growth as well as your project or work. And if you constantly find yourself doing this, be aware of your own contributions and your value add to the business. I personally like to keep track of all the projects and tasks that I've done just in a notebook and keep this in mind for my performance reviews to make sure that my compensation and title are actually matching my contributions. My next piece of advice is to invest in relationships at work. The average workday is 8 hours, but if you work in something like investment banking or consulting or any other industry that generally has longer hours, you might be averaging 10 to 12 hours a day, if not even more. As shocking as it was to me at first, you end up spending more time with your colleagues at work than with your closest friends or even family. And trust me on this, work is going to be infinitely more enjoyable and even much easier if you have a good relationship with your colleagues. I'm not saying that you have to suck up to your manager and do coffee runs every day for your colleagues. You just have to create an environment where you are comfortable and not dreading going to work every day. Now, this could mean catching up with your colleagues once a fortnight just for coffee and getting to know them on a more personal level, or just checking in on them when you think they're looking very stressed. You never know when you're going to need someone's help in the future, even for emotional support at work if you've made a mistake. And the world is so small these days that you never know when your paths are going to cross again. Another thing that I wish I did more back then was venture outside my comfort zone. Internships, or really just the first few years of your career, exist for you to try new things and learn as much about yourself and the industry as possible. Now, this was something that I never really did myself, as I am a creature of comfort and I am low-key scared of failure, rejection, and change. Unfortunately, over time, I realized that discomfort is the key to growth and success, and I really wish the younger me would have known this a bit earlier. Also, don't be afraid to speak up and share your opinion. It's easy to just listen and observe and think that your own opinions don't matter. But know that your past experiences are the reason that you got hired, and your experiences are completely valid and unique, and will always bring a fresh perspective, which can never hurt. Following closely on from my previous point is to figure out what you like and don't like. Now, these can be questions like, do I like working in this particular field? Or do I want to try something new? What do I enjoy the most about work? And what is part of my work that I enjoy the least? Now, the best way to actually figure this out is hands-on and try out new things wherever you can. Now, this can be through different internships, different companies, different teams, different tasks, or even just networking with different people. So for me, I quickly realized that the first 2 teams that I was working in, I didn't particularly enjoy the work that much, and I couldn't see myself working there long term. And therefore, I planned my move into a team that I thought that I would enjoy a lot more after speaking to a few different people. At the end of the day, I hope you actually enjoy your work and it's not just a paycheck, because that way it will definitely burn you out. This will also help identify your next career move and where you see yourself in the future. Next, I would highly recommend always investing in yourself and continuing to acquire new skills wherever you can. Now, this can be via an online course, further study, or even other certifications. If you're thinking of doing a master's in data science, feel free to check out my video that I'm going to have linked above on why I personally think a master's is not worth it and why you should just consider online study instead. Anyway, what I wanted to say was, please don't put yourself on a path where your job might be automated down the track, whether it's 10 years time or even 20 years time, especially given that we are in a world where technology is evolving so quickly. Don't hesitate to ask your manager what training options are available via your company. A lot of the time, companies will sponsor you to do further education, which will then benefit the company in return. I've recently been using Brilliant to continue upskilling on the side, and I highly recommend it if you are looking on a touch-up on anything tech related. Brilliant is an interactive platform that has courses for all different levels on topics varying from linear algebra to calculus to even coding in Python. Rather than just teaching theory, Brilliant teaches intuitive ideas which help train and strengthen your critical thinking. I will leave a link down in my description box where you can sign up for a free trial and access all of their tutorials and daily problem sets. And if you find that you enjoy it, my link will also give you 20% of your first year of membership. I highly recommend just checking out their free trial and just getting to know their courses and see how you like it. My next piece of advice is to be afraid of comfort, as comfort often symbolizes that your learning, growth, and development have slowed down and you are potentially not learning as much as you can in a role anymore. Now, if this has happened, I would recommend that you take a moment to kind of reflect on, what has happened so far, where did it all go wrong, where is a moment in your career that you think your growth and learning has suddenly plateaued. I would also have a think about what kind of skills I would like to learn at this stage of my career, and whether or not staying in my current role is going to give me the ability to learn these skills. Now, if there's no easy solution for this within your team or even internally within a different team, then I would highly recommend that you try and look externally for other opportunities which could bring you more growth and more career development. I've personally never had a mentor before, but I would highly recommend finding one. I think that at the very start of your career, whether you're an intern, a graduate, or in your first couple of years of work, your network and visibility can be more so limited. I think that mentors can offer you some valuable career advice on how to just navigate the tricky situations. They can also be giving you advice on your resume, cover letter, and various job applications. and really just act as a friend to be able to guide you in some of those difficult conversations and situations that you might be facing in your career. So yeah, I would really recommend that you go ahead and find yourself a mentor. And tip number 10, for me this one was a very difficult one. I want to remind you all to stop comparing yourself to other people in different paths. Everyone's journey is so different, and especially in different industries. I think even if you have the same degree, your salaries and working hours in industry will vary so differently. On top of that, people also develop at different speeds, and there will always be external factors that you will have no control of. In saying this though, I do recommend you setting a goal. This could be in the form of a person who is currently a few years more senior than you. I think that way it kind of lets you know what is possible if you continue in your current role. That is the kind of work that you'll be doing in 2 or 3 years' time. This should also give you an idea of what your next few years would look like, and also what you need to do to get to that level. I really hope this video was helpful to you. These were 10 of my top tips that I wish I knew back when I first started working full-time. I do give this advice to many of my younger friends who are just starting out now, so hopefully this can inspire you to change a few things in your working style or your professional development. As always, please like and subscribe if this video helped you out in one way or another, as it really does help my channel grow, and I'm really grateful to every single one of you. Leave a comment down below on if you agreed with any of my tips, or you think you have a few better ones that you would like to share. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Bye!